Yeah, guys, let's start. Today we are going to talk about IPv6. I can't even see properly on the screen. So IPv6 addressing, right? There's a difference between IPv4 and IPv6. We already spoke about it. So IPv4. What is the difference? What is the main difference? How many bits for IPv4? 32 bits. The size, huh? This is 32 bits. How many bits for IPv6? 128, right? So in terms of the size, this IPv4 got 32 bits, and this one it's a 128, right? And in terms of division or representation, right? This IPv4 will have how many parts? 4 parts, right? Like A, B, C, and D, 4 parts. But this one will have how many parts? 8 parts. Right? Like A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? But you are going to see again, there is a difference again between those two IP addresses. So here we are using what? We are using dot, right? To separate those 4 parts, right? But here we are using what? We are using, yeah, we are using column, right? This column. So we are using column. So when you know already those few differences, you are fine, right? Did you understand?
Yes.
And from your IPv4, you are going only to use numbers. We only use numbers. But here we are using what? Numbers plus letters. Numbers plus letters. Right? What else beside this? Right? This IPv4, it's almost finished. Those IPs, they are almost finished. And for you to know the number of IPv4, total number, right? The total number of your IPv4, you must take 2 to the power of what? 32. 2 to the power of 32. This is the number of IPv4, right? But for this IPv6, it's 2 to the power of 128. Billions of IPs, right? So why we came from IPv4 to IPv6, right? Because this IPv4 got few IPs, right? And now we got so many devices. We got phones that you need to assign IP addresses. You got watches that you need to assign IP addresses. You got fan at home, you need to assign IP addresses. You got cameras. You got even shoes that need IP addresses, right? So many devices, billions of devices need to be connected to the internet. But how to identify them? Because those IPv4 are almost done. That's why they came up with what? They came up with IPv6, right? But most of the companies still using what? IPv4, right? So your PC, your device, your company you can go for IPv4 or IPv6, right? But sometimes you can also use those two like at the same time, right? That way you were practicing that command, right? You can use your PC with two IPs, one for IPv4 and one for IPv6, right? You can also ping the IPv6 and so on. So today we are going to be focalized on what? On IPv6, right? So I will try to wipe and we're going to move forward. When you know those differences, for sure you are going to get just two questions or one question just about this, like the difference or maybe the size, right? Let's move forward. Now, I'm going to give you an example of an IPv6, right? Like this one. Let's take an example here. I can say okay, let me write it a bit bigger. Some of the guys cannot see. Here I have just to change like 2004 ABC 3041 01A 4111 0B00. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And all right. This is an example of what? An IPv6, right? You remember for your IPv4, you got only 4 parts, and for every part there is only 1 digit or one representation, right? Like one number, right? Like a number that can be 192 or just 1, right? Okay. Now, when you see this IP, right? Wherever there is an IP address, it can be IPv4 or IPv6. You need to understand that that IP will have 2 parts, the network part and the host part, right? It can be your IPv4, it can be your IPv6. You need to understand that that IP must have 2 parts, the network part and the host part. The host is the device part. So when I have my phone here, my phone can have an IP address. That IP address will show the network part and the host part. But if I never did this advanced networking, I won't gonna know. So I will just see like a number. But you are going to identify, no, this is the family name and this is my owner name. So network part and the device part. Now, from your IPv6, which one is your network part and which one is your host part? Which one is the computer part and which one is for the network part? You see that there are 8. You just divide it by 2, right? You're going just to split 1, 2, 3, 4. This is your network part. And the remaining is what? Your host part, right? So this is your network ID, and this is your host ID. They will ask you that question. They will give you one of the IPv6. They will ask you, where is the IP? No, where is the host ID? Did you understand? You're going to get a question, I don't know where, but it's gonna come. Just like this one, and they will ask you, which one is the host ID? So this is your computer part, right? And this is the network part. So you will know that for our network, this one cannot change. You can only play around with what? That can be different because we are in the same network. Did you understand? but you don't want to use it much, but you have to know. But if you're working for bigger huge companies, yeah, for sure you're gonna find those IPv6. But you can even die sometimes you want to use them. Most of the companies are not using the IPv6, but you have to know, right? So this part you're gonna start giving to devices, but this part is what? Network host. Now you have an exercise here. From this exercise, I gave you already like one line, one IP, right? This IP shows you what? The network part, or the network ID, and the host ID. Your job is only to fill the remaining part. And you have to do it for you to master, for you just to understand better. Right? And there is a question on that. They're going to give you an IPv6 and they will ask you what is the host ID. Just that, not calculate, not doing, just to say this is, there's no calculations. Right? Okay. Now, you see when you got like this IP, you can notice like it's very long. No, right? There's a way you can try to make it what? Short, right? So, you can do what we call removing leading zeros. Right? We are going to remove leading zeros. Leading zeros. Right? So what does it mean? You see, from your IP, right? From your IPv6, if there is a 0 there in front, you cannot write it. Right? So it's gonna be like this one is gonna be like 2000, right? 4, this one won't gonna change, right? It won't gonna change. These two will never change. But this one there is 0. There is no need for you to write it. You're gonna say just 4, 1, A. This one too, you're gonna keep it. This one there's a 0, you can remove it. This one gonna still be the same. And this one too gonna still be the same. Right? So this is how to remove the leading zeros. Right? So if there is a 0 there, you remove. There's a 0, you remove. Just to make it a bit shorter. But this one and this one still the same? The same. You can use your computer, you assign this one. I can use my computer, I can assign this one. Still, we're going to have the same thing. Right? This is the meaning. Now, oh, okay, it's here. You've got some IPs here. They are here. They will ask you to remove the leading zeros. Right? And there are questions. They will ask you, among those answers, right? Which one is the same as the one above? So you're going to get like this one, and they'll give you the answers. They're going to remove the leading zeros. They're going to make it a bit like tricky. Now they're going to answer. They're going to ask you which one is the correct IPv6. You must just follow the rules. You say, no, so this one, when I remove 0, I'm going to get this, and you're done. Right? Let me give you another IP, like this one. You're going to see how to do it. Right? This one can be something like, okay, let's say, like FE00, like this one. P1AB CCC 0300. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, guys? Let's say this is your IPv4, right? No, your IPv6, right? They want you to do what? To remove the leading zeros. Right? But here, there is no leading zeros anymore. This one is a continuous. Right? Zeros that are, yeah, this is a continuous. leading zeros. It's continuous, right? What you're gonna do when you have a continuous zeros like this? So this IP will change like this. This IP will be written like this. FE00. This one you are going to replace by double columns. It's gonna be dot dot dot. So those continuous leading zeros going to be what? And you jump where? Here. 31A B. Right? So this one you are going to replace them by what? Double columns. So when you have continuous zeros, you replace them by what? Yeah. And this one gonna still be the same. C. This one gonna remove. That's 1 0. It's gonna be 300. 1111.1111. This is how it says, right? So the continuous zeros, you replace them by double column, right? But don't replace twice. You can only replace once. Did you understand? Suppose like there are other continuous zeros here. When you already did it once, you must keep those ones, right? There are questions for your international examinations or even for your local. They will give you an IPV6 with leading or continuous zeros, and they will ask you which one is the correct one. So after removing those zeros, which one is the correct one, right? So if you want me to give you another, can I wipe or I can give you another example?
Yeah, give another one.
Yes? You can come?
Please move.
Oh, you're right. Yeah?
You see these guys?
No, speak.
Yes. You see?
Okay, leave it.
Yeah. There's two of them, right?
Yeah.
After removing.
Yeah.
But the confusing part is there's three.
Oh, no, don't mind about number of dots, right? Number of columns. When you see leading zeros like this, just put what? 2 double columns. Don't mind because they are. So even if they are like 0, 0, 0, column 0, 0, 0, column 0, 0, you're going just to put 2. Yeah. That 2 shows like they are like a chain, like a series of 0, 0, 0. So you just replace all of them by double columns. Right? Like here, you see how many zeros? They are like 3 parts, right?
Yes.
All of them you're going to replace just by double columns.
Okay.
Yeah. But if they are like, they are here and here, you can only do once. Not do like double columns there, double columns there. No. Right? This is the meaning, right? Please make sure that, and what we are talking about, this network, network ID, we can also call it prefix ID. Prefix ID is this one, but you can write it as this one /64. 64 is what? The subnet mask. So when you say your network ID will get how many bits? 64 bits. Your host ID also will take what? Right? So prefix ID, you only write this one /64. This is the meaning of prefix. Prefix ID is this part. Right? Did you understand? So if I wanted to summarize myself, right? My friend, those guys who came late, right? What we started by discussing about the difference between IPv4 and IPv6, right? When you go to your PC, your company, you can go for IPv4 or you can go for IPv6. But IPv4 got few IPs. The IPs can be finished. They're already finished. Why those IPv4? They're already finished because there are new devices that are coming every single day. right? That need connectivity to the internet, like your watches, your smart watches, your fans, your microwave. So all those devices, you have to connect them to the internet, right? And remember that your IPv4 is 32 bits, the size of an IPv4. For you to get the maximum number of IPv4, it's 2 to the power of 32. But IPv6, we say that it's 128. If you calculate 2 to the power of 128, you're going to see that you're going to get billions of IPs. Alright?
Yeah.
And you have to know the difference between IPv4 and IPv6 in terms of the representation, how to write them. Your IPv4, you are going to separate them by dots. But IPv6, we write by separate them by what? By colon. When you see the colons like this one, it means it's an IPv6. And IPv4 got 4 parts, but IPv6 got 8 parts. If you count the way there are 8 parts, right? And you have to know that for IPv4, you can only use numbers. But IPv6, you can use numbers and letters, right? And you have to remember that you can convert this IPv6 to binary, right? Because you know that D, it's what? You know A is 10, B is 11. So this whole number, you can represent it in binary because you know. Where there is a letter, you know how to represent that letter, right?
Yeah.
And what else you have to know? You have to know what you got when you have an IP address, especially your IPv6. You can remove what we call the leading zeros. Leading zeros is like this one. This is your IPv6, but you can see this part will start with a 0.
Yeah.
You cannot write this 0, just to make it short. Like here, you can remove this 0. This is removing the leading zeros. But you can also get an IPv4 that got leading zeros or continuous leading zeros, like a series of zeros, like this example. There are so many zeros, like this one. So many zeros. You can replace those zeros by double colons. You just say these ones and you put the double colons. Right? Now, I will show you from your PC how you can check what? Your IPv4 or your IPv6, because we are talking about them, right? But we are not there. I will take a break, see what you're going to do, how you're going to practice this one, then we're going to move to the next part related to our IPv6. So today we only do the IPv6. We are going to start our network, our computers, our switches, our routers, assigning them only IPv6, right? And how to manipulate them. Okay, fine, my friends. Okay, you got the document.